Well, thanks so much for tuning into the Market Wrap. I'm Niraj Shah with Nickey Mirchandani, and it turned out to be yet another interesting day of trade. Sure, you could argue, the skeptic could argue that there was a bit of a cool-off towards the fag end of the trading day, but I think you would take it with both hands after two such strong days, yesterday and day before. So the trade takeaways for today, well, banks continue to fuel the rally again, and they continue to rise and shine. So really strong show by banking stocks. Not as much by large caps as mid caps, but large caps also did okay, and we'll get to that. Reliance, however, still continues to be quiet. Autos stayed strong, but I thought today was a day which marked the return of the commodities. Steel stocks, some of the others really made a comeback, even though VIX hasn't quite really shot up. So there's a bit of a uptick in India VIX compared to CBOE VIX, which had corrected significantly yesterday, but no dramatic moves. And telecom, I reckon, will continue to remain in focus in the next few days. Today's Bharti's results will come out. So tomorrow, Bharti Airtel remains in focus, but the Indus Tower dividends come in. And if indeed the MSCI changes happen sometime in the next 10 days, then that could all keep telecom in focus. However, the net, the moves that happened today, IndusInd Bank, I think, dominated the index, and which is why I said banks stayed very, very strong in the session. So you will see that IndusInd Bank was the top performer. But some of the others also participated a little bit. Axis Bank 2.5. There was some mild strength and weakness in stocks like HDFC, ICICI, etc. So those did okay. There was some strength in Cipla today. The management spoke to us and spoke about how the numbers going ahead on the US side could be okay, but Divi's and some of the other pharma names also did well. And what didn't do well, Shree Cement, the management of Shree Cement, of course, was due to speak to BloombergQuint. Nicky will talk more about that. But ITC and Ultratech were some of the others which also stayed a bit quiet. Nicky Johnson, by the way, to speak about what stood out in trade today. Nicky, don't tell me Shree Cement.
No, clearly no. But then last 2 days have been really good for Shree Cement. 7.5%, 15% gains in the last 2 days, record high level. And HM Bangur in an interview today to us said that the company is expected to outgrow the industry even in FY22. So you got to give some credit to the biggie out there. But today's pick is Coal India. It's a 5.5% kind of uptick that we have for Coal India today. The company has registered 9 consecutive monthly rise in dispatches number. That it reported on a Monday, and since then the stock has been on a rally. It's been on an uptrend. The dispatches number actually have, in absolute terms, if you compare the YOY percent, that's a dip coming there, 5% decline coming in. That's the sharpest perhaps that we have since July 2020. And I'd like to highlight the fact that CIL revised the target, the production, to 660 million ton as compared to what it had earlier, compared to 710 kind of million ton kind of a target. And until now, it's just delivered 462 million. That's the output that it's produced until now, which is way far away from the target until now. But then dispatches, somehow there is some demand which is picking up, probably driving the stock higher. And also you have some amount of, results will be coming in soon, probably Feb 10, Feb 11 for this company. And then you have the whole talks around the dividend, which is probably, buoying the sentiment for this counter as a whole. But then what are you picking up in the mid-cap space?
Well, today I thought marked the mid-cap financials very, very strongly, and of course some commodity names. So before we talk about individuals, let's just get the MOV function of the terminal on the screen, which will show us the market breadth as well. It will not be as buoyant as yesterday, but still pretty good. So around slightly better than 1:2 in favor of the advances. Good going there. Now, Bajaj Consumer Care, of course, results reaction up about 20%. But as I said, financial. So IFL Finance continues to rise and shine. Third day on a trot. 7 million shares traded. It went up yesterday 10% on very high delivery volumes too. Shriram City Union Finance doing very well for itself. There was strength in some of the other names like Mahindra & Mahindra Financial and Shriram Transport Finance as well. So all of those did very well. You also had some very buoyant moves in CEAT. Shameless plug. I've written a story on the tire companies on the BloombergQuint website. Urge you guys to go and read about that. The strength in Deepak Nitrite, Astral Poly, Granules because of Newland Labs, Divi's, Granules, and all of those did well. What didn't do well? Future Retail, Future Consumer, dragged down by the Amazon, Reliance, Battle, Balrampur, yet another day of weakness. And somewhere down there, you also had Solara correcting a bit, yes, about 3% in trade. Nicky, so a lot of names had individual reasons. What are the top 2 or 3 that moved and why?
Newland Laboratories, solid set of numbers, and the guidance also was pretty decent enough. Double-digit revenue growth that they're expecting for the next financial year. Talk about the earning picture. It's probably more than the net profits have doubled. In fact, the operating performance that has also been encouraging 65% kind of up move. So that's quite healthy. In fact, I wanted to highlight a little bit about tire stocks and a lovely piece that you've written, which viewers can also see on BloombergQuint.com. Tire stocks specifically, ever after the country has imposed those curbs coming in on the different kind of tires that you've been used in cars, buses, trucks. The entire sector, right from the start of the year, has been rallying. MRF, Balkrishna Industry, Apollo Tires. If you look at the chart of 3 months for this, or maybe just 2 months for these counters, rather an encouraging picture coming in. And what also has been doing well and is expected to continue to do well is steel stocks, because HRC prices again are on uptick. Steelman reported that SAIL has undertaken an HRC and a CRC price hike of rupees 1,500 per ton. Sources suggest that Tata Steel and JSW Steel also has followed suit right at the start of this month. In fact, there are talks relating to the privatization of SAIL also, which could be the next strategic move when it comes to the whole privatization development as a whole. So it remains to be seen whether or not this will be privatized. But in itself, right now, SAIL has been doing too well. In fact, most of the analysts community have been talking about the upgrade coming in for this counter, which has rather been a laggard until now as compared to all the minor you beat in the like of Tata Steel or JSW Steel. So net, it's a bullish space that you're talking about. But then I'm going to quickly toss it back to you, Niraj, and ask you about the ongoing IPO, which is Brookfield IPO. What are you gathering? And does it look like an interesting bet to you?
Oh, well, so people should try and read up more about these slightly differentiated IPOs as compared to the others. But as we said in the morning, that it was supposed to be a big day for IPOs simply because of the listing, of the allotment for Stuffcraft that was due to happen, and the fact that this year promises to be a really interesting one for IPOs, considering that we shortly have Nazara, but we might have Zomato, we might have NSC, we might have LIC. So it promises to be a big year. But yeah, coming to specifically names like Brookfield, etc., please try and read up more about them. And our website has enough data too. But try and read as much more about slightly differentiated IPOs before you go out and try and invest into some of these. However, the larger market is at the mercy of the global markets. Nicky, I don't know if there is anything on IPOs or then the global markets really, and how are they shaping up currently?
Well, the picture looks pretty decent at this point of time. Optimism across the board. If you look at the European markets, they're all trading in green. To an extent, CAC has now, to an extent, succumbed to some amount of selling pressure. But nevertheless, you're seeing some amount of selling pressure coming in the European market. But US stock futures, the last time I checked, they were indicating of a positive start coming in for Wall Street. There is some amount of optimism which is still brewing on account of the stimulus stocks, corporate earnings, all of them take a center stage. But this is all that we have for you. And thank you so much for tuning in.